Shane van Gisbergen led 30 laps at New Hampshire in the wet, looking like a completely different driver out there. But once the sun came out and the track dried up, everything changed. Stick around, because how this one ended is not what you'd expect after that start. And hey, real quick, if you are a true NASCAR fan like me, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe to the channel. NASCAR Nation news is just getting started. We are pushing for our next subscriber milestone, and it's all about real talk from fans who live this sport every week. All right, let's get into it. So here's how it all went down at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Van Gisbergen started 5th in the number 97 Trackhouse Chevrolet, and right away, in those damp conditions, he was on it. Tyler Reddick and Josh Berry shared the front row to start. Berry actually got the better jump off the line, but he ran a little high through turn 2. And that let Reddick slot back into the lead, with William Byron moving up into second. It didn't take long for the first caution to fly. Just 5 laps in, Reddick spun coming out of turn 4. Denny Hamlin and Chris Buescher both managed to dodge him, and Byron inherited the lead, with Van Gisbergen already up to second after starting 5th. Byron led the field back to green on lap 7 and cleared Van Gisbergen through turn 2. The Kiwi held on to second for a few more laps before Christopher Bell got by him on lap 10. But Van Gisbergen wasn't done. He stayed right with the leaders, took second back from Bell on lap 26, and then set his sights on Byron up front. Once he got past Byron, Van Gisbergen just pulled away. By lap 32, he had a 4.7 second lead. 3 laps later, that gap was up to 7 seconds. He was also the fastest car on the track at that point, turning a lap of 32, 438 seconds at 117. 413 miles per hour. Now here's the thing. That advantage disappeared fast. NASCAR called a competition caution on lap 40, giving teams a chance to switch over to dry tires as the track conditions improved. Before that caution even came out, Van Gisbergen's teammate Ross Chastain was already in trouble. With smoke pouring from the right front of his car, Chastain headed to pit road and was eventually forced to retire from the race. When racing resumed on lap 50, Van Gisbergen was still out front and cleared Berry at the restart, with Byron moving up into second. 3 laps later, another caution came out when Ricky Stenhouse Jr. spun in turn 4. Van Gisbergen got another clean restart on lap 56, but this is where things started to slip away. As the field settled onto slick tires, his early speed just wasn't there anymore. Kyle Larson took the lead from him on lap 57, and then Carson Hocevar and Bell also drove past. Van Gisbergen dropped all the way to 6th as he battled understeer and brake bias issues in the number 97. Larson went on to win stage 1. Van Gisbergen closed out the opening stage, having led 30 of the first 70 laps. But a slow pit stop between stages made things even tougher, dropping him back to 25th for the start of stage 2. Ryan Preece led the stage 2 restart on lap 79. 5 laps later, another caution flew when Hocevar spun on the front stretch after contact with Connor Zilisch. Joey Logano also got caught up in that one. Berry took the lead shortly after the restart, and Van Gisbergen spent the rest of the stage just trying to fight his way back through the field. He climbed up to 21st by lap 109, then slipped back to 25th as the stage went on. Van Gisbergen was among a group of drivers who pitted on lap 132, and after that stop, he started making some real progress, up to 18th by lap 150 and 16th with 15 laps to go in the stage. By that point, Blaney had taken the lead away from Berry and went on to win stage 2, ahead of Berry, Bubba Wallace, Preece, and Larson. Van Gisbergen finished the stage 15th, but he was still not happy with how his car was handling. Here's what he said over the radio. "It's very weak taking off. Way too tight. Then I've got so much rear brake it makes me lose. And then I'm loose off because I'm tight. The balance is out, but only because I'm sliding the rear tire with the brakes. I felt like I took off really slowly there and didn't get a payback." Berry led the field away for the final stage on lap 209, but Wallace was on the attack immediately and took the lead just a lap later. Those two went back and forth at the front, with Berry bumping Wallace in turn 3 on lap 12.22 to move back ahead. Wallace answered right back, retaking the lead the next lap as Preece joined the fight and moved into second. Another caution came out on lap 225 when Riley Herbst crashed in turns 3 and 4 after contact with Michael McDowell, with Zilisch also getting collected in that incident. Van Gisbergen was running 17th when racing resumed on lap 232, with Blaney and Chase Briscoe leading the way ahead of Byron Wallace and Zane Smith. That restart didn't even last long. Byron lost his left rear wheel and crashed hard into the barrier, ending his day and bringing the caution back out. When they went back to green on lap 239, Blaney and Briscoe ran side by side for a couple of laps before Blaney finally got clear of the Stewart-Haas driver. From there, Blaney started building his lead and put himself in position to win. A two-tire call on his final pit stop ended up being the difference maker. Blaney held off Wallace in the closing laps to take the win by just 0.586 seconds. Barry came home third ahead of Bell and Larson. And Van Gisbergen? He finished 20th after spending the closing stages stuck battling in the midfield. It was a frustrating day for the Kiwi, honestly. He showed some of the strongest pace in the entire field early on, looked completely comfortable in the wet, and built a big lead. But once the track dried and everyone switched to slick tires, he just couldn't carry that speed over. The NASCAR Cup Series heads to Daytona International Speedway next weekend, with green flag set for 11:30 a.m. New Zealand time on Sunday. So here's my question for you. Do you think Van Gisbergen's early pace in the wet shows he's got what it takes to run up front on dry tires too? Or is this still a work in progress for him? Drop your thoughts down in the comments. And if you haven't already,